everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today, on this day, I have with me a gentleman by the name of Cory Steward. He is a career coach, speaker, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about how he helps people in the job career of their dreams. But first and foremost, as I always do, I take a quick moment to pause, say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. So I truly appreciate you carving out this space in your day to chat with little old me. And with that, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out. It's a pleasure to be here. I like what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, first and foremost, because I mentioned you're a career coach, can you explain to me what exactly is a career coach and when should somebody go looking for one of unique creatures?
Yes. So a career coach is somebody that really helps people make pivots throughout their career, transition, or come up with a new direction. A lot of times our careers are tied to our livelihood, our income, right? And if we make the wrong decision, it could have drastic effects within our families and our financial goals in our day-to-day lives. So it's important to consider people reach out to a career coach to help them navigate that. You've been working somewhere and then you find out, well, dang, how they getting paid more money and I know more than them? That's because you just didn't study the art or reach out to a professional to understand how salary negotiation works. Sometimes you don't know how to go from, I've been an educator for 15, 20 years. And how do I transition into corporate America? Someone would utilize a career coach to help with that transition and answer certain questions and how to go about interviewing and preparing to succeed and do well so you get the offer that you're looking for in resume and etc. All things career related is really when a career coach would come in handy.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, what is it about this particular line of work that interests you or what made you go into it?
So fortunately, my passion, my gift is interacting with people and speaking and motivating, right? So my personal mission is just to bring value to people's lives, whether my friends, people who I meet on the street or coworkers. Like, this is just what's been put in me. And so I wanted to do it just to give back. And it's something that it could be my escape from the traditional 9 to 5 and fulfill my purpose and my passion in helping people, because I want to get money, right? But giving someone the ability to say, if they were making, 60,000, but now after you didn't work with them, now they're making 75,000. So that's a $15,000 increase, which is going to change their livelihood, right? All because I got them to open up and I coached them along. I got them to believe and trust in me. And here's our outcome. And seeing that excitement is always nice. I always mess with my sisters. They're always like, well, I just work so hard and they want me to do all this after work, after 5. I don't want to do that. I just want to do my job and go home. But you can't do that. You have to learn how to play the political game so you can get the promotion that you deserve, right? So you can be someone that they see as a likable person who they can really work with, not just someone who they can depend on to do the job, but someone they can enjoy doing the job alongside. So it's just a long way answer, but that's just what I do. I love it.
You mentioned being a likable person. I have a question. Now, many years ago, I worked with this lady and she was phenomenal at her job. I mean, I think she knew the job better than upper management knew the job. And but she was a no nonsense type of person. She didn't really socialize a lot. She didn't talk to us a lot. I believe she even took her lunch in her car. She didn't even go to the break room. But it became a time where she was applying for a promotion. She wanted to get a supervisor, manager job, and she wasn't getting callbacks. And a lot of us were trying to say to her, well, you're not very friendly. And she was like, what does that have to do with my job performance? So my question is, is it being good at your job or is it being sociable at your job, or is there a mix or what?
Okay. To me, I think hard work in our culture and our society once upon a time was very effective to getting and achieving your dreams. I think that's a piece of it. I don't think that's all you need right now. My coaching platform is based off likability and confidence. I believe if you have those two things, you can get any job that you need, right? It's just being authentic in your spirit. People like who they like, right? If you can find a common connection and you can build a relationship with somebody, It's the most beautiful thing in the world to be standing in line on an airplane and you sit next to somebody and realize, wow, we have something in common. Who would have ever thought?
True.
So that opens up your mind and it builds a connection. And you can see a future, right? Girl, let's stay in touch. Let's
Okay.
go out. You know what? As a matter of fact, since you stay in the same neighborhood, let's go watch the game together next weekend.
Hmm.
So you need to have the ability to work well with others and communicate well and show a good personality,
Okay.
because oftentimes you see people that lack the knowledge get promoted, right? How many times have you trained to work with somebody and you know more than them, but they have a higher
True.
title, they have a higher
True.
pay scale? It's because they have the ability to be likable.
Okay.
And when you're interviewing with a job or a company for a position, it's more about, is this a good fit for our culture than is this person qualified, right?
Okay.
Most people, they're interviewing 5 to 7 candidates. All 5 to 7 of y'all are qualified. How do we determine who gets hired? It's the one who I can see myself showing up 9 to 5, being on the conference calls with, going in the trenches, hanging out with lunch together.
Hmm.
That's the person who I want on my team. The
Okay.
rest we can figure it out, because we all know when we like somebody, especially from a relationship perspective, we have a little bit more patience. If they're a little
Yes.
more easy on the eyes, right? If we respect their hustle, where they're coming from, we give
Hmm.
them a lot of grace. So if just working hard was the only qualification, that would be amazing. But we have to play that political game until you're on your own ish. And so
Okay.
uh, it is necessary. It's very necessary to be a likable, approachable person that gets along well with others at the job. And that needs to come across the interview process and throughout your tenure there at that job if you want to move up. So
Awesome.
that's an interesting story, because you hear that, that's how it should be, but that's that old school thing that's been passed down. But it's more about networking and building relationships now that's going to get you to the top.
Yeah, she was adamant. She was like, I don't understand why I have to interact with you. I'm just here for a paycheck. And I said, well, you're never going to get a promotion if you don't, kind of do the double dutch thing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
now I saw on it was either your website or your Instagram, you mentioned something that I had never heard of before. And I've been out the game for a minute, so I want you to explain it to me. But you mentioned
Mhm.
applicant tracking system as it pertains to resumes. And I was clueless. So how does all of that parlay in together? What is that?
Yeah. So we call it the ATS. So pretty
Hmm.
much it's a robot that scans resumes looking for certain keywords and criteria that align with what the employer is looking to hire for that position.
Okay.
So right now, typically there's one recruiter, right? And so the average, you get about over 200 resumes per open position, right?
Okay.
And so the best way that a recruiter can manage their time is to rely on a robot for assistance, a software, an ATS system to filter through. Because, a lot of times there's unqualified candidates, there's people that don't
Hmm.
meet the minimum expectations that they're looking for. And so what they do is they tell this software to search for these certain things. I need somebody with 5 years human resource experience. I need somebody familiar with compensation. And they put that in that little software, and then it spits out, here are all the people that applied. Here are the 10 people that meet your criteria. So now they can actually put eyes in, because that's a lot more manageable for a recruiter instead of sifting
Gotcha.
through over 200 resumes. Let me look at these 10 to 15 and see who's worthy to be for a screening phone call.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so it's something to be mindful of, because back in the day, people literally looked at resumes. They put their eyes on it. They picked up a piece of paper, looked at it and scanned
Mm.
it. You could drop it off. Someone would actually really look at it. Now everything is just submitted online. They have to rely on a software system, really streamline that process to make it easy. So what that means is you can't just have any basic old resume. We also used to do templates, right? Oh,
Yeah.
bro, you got hired at that good company. Send me over your resume, and I'm gonna just change my name, update my.
Hmm.
I'm good to go. You can't do that anymore. Everything is strategically placed, and it's even getting more strict because we don't want to be biased, right? We don't want to be
Yeah.
racist against his name being Muhammad or
Yeah.
Shanika Jackson, right? So what we're going to do is we're not even going to put our recruiter in the game. We're going to depend on qualified candidates only. So instead of looking at the name, we're going to look at the content that they have on their resume. And we're going to lean heavily on the ATS system to give us qualified people So that way it takes away the natural biases that recruiters and hiring decision makers have.
Wow.
So that's what the ATS does, and that's the purpose.
So I think I heard you mention keywords. So when you're doing your resume, it's just like building a website. You have to put certain words that the computer's gonna pick up so you can even get called for an interview.
That's right. If you want to know how to bake an apple pie from scratch and you're looking for a recipe, you're going to go to Google, right? You're going to put apple pie, you're going to put white sugar, you're going to put in brown sugar or maybe like rolled crust. Those are key words, right?
Yes.
That's going to be part of that recipe. So if I'm looking for a solid candidate for my human resource position, I'm going to make sure, are they certified within a certain organization? Do they have a bachelor's degree? Do they have onboarding experience? So onboarding, I'm going to look for that word to be on the resume probably 3 to 5 times. So if that word onboarding is not on your resume 3 to 5 times, you don't even come up as an option. I'm looking for somebody that has a master's. So boom, master's needs to be on your resume. I'm looking for somebody who has experience with a certain software called Salesforce. That needs to be put on your resume. I need to see numbers on your resume to show that you have achieved certain things.
Wow.
So when they say keywords, it's no longer just about, let me just throw something together. It almost has to be strategically crafted in a way to set yourself up to win. Wow. And that's why career coaches are so powerful, because oftentimes, and I've been there, I'm applying for jobs 6 months or 12 months. I got it. I can do it on my own. But things are evolving so fast, unless you're not in that headspace of understanding what's going on in the human resource world and the recruiting and diversity. It's a very sexy name, D&I, diversity and inclusion. It's like, oh, okay, I'm a person of color. Let me just apply. Mm-hmm. But maybe your resume isn't structured right. So you're not making it past the applicant tracking system because you don't have the right keywords. And on top of that, your keywords have to be positioned in a certain section on your resume. Yeah.
Wow, I've been out the game for a minute. So I mean, it's I would think it's almost impossible to secure the job of your dreams without a career coach. I mean, you really need help in this area.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to help increase your chances drastically because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so you spending time learning the hard way, and time is money. Mm-hmm. I really average getting people at least an 8,000K pay increase, and that's very modest and that's very low. And I don't even charge a whole lot. So It's just one of those things where you can spend the time yourself, but we've been in those bad situations, right? Mm-hmm. When you get on that performance improvement plan, or when you finally see that they're trying to kick you out the door, now you rushing in about 2 weeks to try to make this happen when you should have been proactive. Mm-hmm. So, excuse me, I just made a post that says, dig your well before you're thirsty. Mm-hmm. I want people to be proactive instead of reactive. Gotcha. You know, when that man talk to you crazy, I want you to have the power, like, you know what? Okay, my resume is already ready to go. I'm starting to apply tonight. And you can close that gap and start lining up interviews within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. But when you're dealing with that emotional stress of them disrespecting you on the job and you still have to show up, there's no worse feeling than showing up somewhere where you know you're not appreciated. Gotcha. When you having a play on your way to work, it's a good day when he's sick or he out on vacation, your manager. I try to uncover all those things and keep you from getting in that situation. And so oftentimes we just have to learn the hard way, but I really just want to be an advocate for people to really think about, you say you want 6 figures, but you operating off a 50K knowledge base, right? So how you expect to level up when your mindset is still, it's in a fixed mindset? And I'm really trying to educate you on a growth mindset to elevate your career so you can achieve your dreams.
Okay. Now you're talking about leveling up. There's been a myth with us as a culture a lot of times that the salary that they offer is a salary that we have to take, or a lot of times the myth is if they hired me at 40K, everybody in the department must be making 40K. That's if I'm understanding correctly from what you're saying, you can negotiate for more. You don't have to take what everybody else is taking.
Absolutely. It's so funny in our culture, like you say, we're big on money, right? I loaned you some money. You need to pay me my money back, or I need to make sure that we have enough money to do this. But when the man tells you, "Oh, we're going to offer you 50,000," you're just so grateful, which is very common. People are very happy and they're on an emotional high, like we want to hire you. They accept. And so what I coach is salary negotiation. As a matter of fact, it takes Black women and Hispanic women almost half a year to make the same amount of money that their white male counterparts make. So there's definitely a pay gap. So part of that is, in my opinion, most ladies they're excited to have the job and they don't want to put themselves in position to seem unappreciative, right? They want to be grateful. Thank you. Let's move on. When most men, it's in our nature to say, all right, thank you so much. How about more? We're always looking for more to gain up. And so if you think about it, if you start your career out and you just make an extra $10,000 that you negotiated for yourself, think about every time you make a move, you ahead by $10,000.
Yes.
All because you've been coaching, you know how to handle those situations.
Gotcha.
I also tell people that compensation doesn't always have to come in the form of a salary, right? Let's talk about time with our families. Let's negotiate paid time off, right? How about you give us an extra 3,000, you give us an extra 3 days of vacation time? When I have clients that have kids, I'm saying, hey, we can get a win. It doesn't always have to be financially. How about we work from home 3 days out of a week? Let's negotiate that. Let's talk about a sign-on bonus.
Okay. And I think a lot of people don't realize that those are negotiable items. You just assume what they give you is what you have to take.
Yeah. Total compensation is something that can go over people's head. It's not just about the salary. Think about if you worked for Uber or Amazon early on, and they were early in their career, and they couldn't offer you the salary that you wanted. You can negotiate stock and equity within the company. And so the value of those shares you'll always have. And guess what? They turn into money. So you really got to think outside the box. And that's part of my job, is to really coach them and guide them on different things that they can do to just have a more rewarding career for themselves.
Now, since we're talking about my cousins on my mama's side, when it comes to the corporate world, it used to be that we always had to conform to what was expected we should look like, but it's shifting. From your perspective, when it comes to corporate America, or getting a career in corporate America, is it really shifting? Can we show up for interviews with our natural hair and stuff like that and land a job, or are we still kind of stuck back in the day?
So here's the bigger issue. 75% of white people in America don't have Black friends outside of the job, right? So we're typically afraid of what we don't know, what we don't understand. And it is changing. But what I like to tell people to do is show up as yourself without compromising your integrity and who you are, right? You definitely have to move in a certain way. Because what hurts me is that mentally it really wears down on my people, right? You're showing up totally as something that you're not. You're working hard. You're the first one there, the last one to leave. Mentally, that gets to be a real heavy burden, especially if you're trying to really get that VP role and you're trying to level up. And you feel like you have to sacrifice your personal life for your family because you want to level up within your career. I think it's always better to show up as your authentic self and go from there. But the stress comes from there's a misalignment. You're chasing a job because for the income, but not your passion. It's very important to figure out what you're good at and what you're talented at, because you can show up and be comfortable within your skin. Because then people gravitate towards you and your passion, and you're doing it. And it's okay. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with just the being there for the paycheck, but you're a lot more susceptible to the issues that happen on the job when you're there for just the monetary reasons. In certain states, like I know in Austin, Texas, they just passed the Crown Act. So that means you can't discriminate on someone who wears braids or they have their hair in a certain way. I think it's better to show up to that interview as yourself so they can accept you for who you are. I tell people rejection is also protection. If they can accept you now for being your authentic self, you're going to put yourself in a bad environment, because that's what we do, right? We act like we pretend to be something that we're not. We get the job, we get in there, then we want to complain about how they treat us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they thought they were hiring one thing when you're really somebody else. But if you show up as who you are, that's on them. So that's where the whole personality fit comes in, right? And the whole
Mm-hmm.
likability. I was myself. The good news when you're yourself is that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. They either like who I am or they don't. But if you misrepresent yourself, now you're always having to show up as somebody else. And that can be
Mm-hmm.
very daunting. And pretty soon the money becomes irrelevant, because it's about your livelihood and that stress that you're trying to manage to be somebody that you're not, but you wanted the title, you wanted the position. So now you got to play all these games and act interested in here, all these, oh yeah. That's not you.
Mm-hmm.
You're a separate person from real life than the person you're at your job. And eventually that's going to wear down on you mentally.
That's true.
Now
And
you're stressed.
true. Now, I mean, I'm curious because I think the term is code switching, and like showing up as our authentic self. Is there a degree to it? Because I'm pretty sure we can't come to the break room and play spades and pull out the ribs and the collard greens and a potato salad. I mean, I think sometimes there's some of us that we just naturally don't share with certain environments or not. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you have to expect the code switch at times when you're on the job?
I feel like when we're playing by somebody else's rules, there's a little bit of code switching that's natural for us, right? But we're so ingrained that we don't know how to let that go. I think if
Gotcha.
we all showed up as who we are, guess what? They would accept us for who we
Mhm.
are, right? They accept afros and they accepted braids because that's how we all showed up. But what
Mhm.
we thought we had to do was start out is pretending to be somebody else that we really weren't. And so that became the social norm. But if we all just show up as who we are, we wouldn't have to worry about breaking down those social norms of this is how I think I should act,
Okay.
or there's a higher responsibility on even on myself as being the only brother in my environment. In most of the spaces that I walk into, I know I don't want to ruin it for the rest of us, right? There's that little
Yes.
extra little weight that I'm not going to do
Yeah.
X, Y, Z. But what I've noticed is being myself, it allows vulnerability and transparency, and the right people will be attracted to that.
Got
So
you.
I think if you look at it like that, by you know what, you can't just be all like you said playing spades, but you should be able to relax and be yourself.
Got
Because what I'm seeing is my people are being more stressed because they're having to pretend to be somebody that they're not.
you. Hmm.
So as soon as some turbulence happens and you're out of that safe space, now you're trying to deal with performing well and pretending to be somebody that you're really not.
Got you. Got you. I
So
was
hopefully that answers the question. You definitely should show up and be respectful of the environment that you're in. But I think if you align yourself with the right position, you show yourself, you be transparent in the interview, and they have an expectation of your personality, who you are. And what you'll find is typically people like people who are outside the box. This is different. I think she or he would be a good fit for this company. Because
okay.
if you show up the same way everybody else says, hey, how are you doing? Shaking hands. So tell me about this and that. Like, it's like, all right. Then we're just gonna hire this person because maybe they're a minority. But now
Hmm.
we're hiring because we like you. When someone likes you, that trumps everything.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, me and my mother were having a conversation that they must have had somebody who wasn't comfortable in Walmart with the incident with the Juneteenth ice cream. They must have had somebody who wasn't comfortable in their skin to speak out and say, I don't think this is a good marketing idea. And I think sometimes we get caught in these traps. Like, we don't know what space we're here. We got this paycheck. We're scared. We don't want to interrupt the paycheck,
Mhm.
and everything like that. But let me move on because I'm running out of time here, sir, and
You're
I got a
fine.
whole bunch more questions to ask you. Um, a lot of times, as I have traveled this earth in the many years that I have been here, I've seen this instance where people go to college, And we go to college and we get these wonderful degrees with these, we spent all this time, and we end up working as the night shift manager at a grocery store, even though we have this degree. So my question to you, how does somebody prepare themselves while they're in college to get the job of their dreams so they're not doing this? Because I see this happen too many times. People don't end up in the field they went to school for. So how do we not do that? Because that's a waste of 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus whatever years.
So I think understanding what your passion and your talent is going to be very important for your future, right? College is a time to figure that out. I always tell people, if you know exactly what you're good at, you can skip college. Most of the millionaires have a trade. If your toilet starts coming up and stuff starts going everywhere, are you worried about the money that's going to cost just for him to show up? No, you're going to go ahead and drop that $300, and then he's going to tell you it's cost another $1,000 to get it fixed. Like same with electrician. But while you're in college, you should be tapping into your passion and your desires and finding what career opportunities can align with that. Right? So once you start understanding what you're good at, you can start finding the positions that have the same characteristics that you already possess, right? If you're an outgoing person, you know that this role is going to be good for you. If you're an introvert type of person, you know that this is the type of role that's good for you. So you can start seeking the ideal opportunities that you would really like. That's the first thing. What sets people up is that you start chasing the paycheck, and you just take a job to be taking a job. But really, you need to sit down and have, what's my 10-year vision for myself? What's my 30-year game plan for my life? And once you really look at that big 30-year plan of what you need to do, now we can start focusing, okay, what should I do after college that's going to set me up for where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
Gotcha.
Right? There's nothing wrong with taking an unpaid internship because it gets you one step closer to your goals. So if you don't begin with the end in mind, that's why you end up lost. That's why you're having to take a position or a job that you're not necessarily fits with your career. And it is very challenging. Don't get me wrong. It can be very challenging, but you make life easy for yourself by at least knowing what you like. And if not, that's all you're doing is you're spending time working in the real world, trying to figure out what you want. And then you get caught up and then you get stuck. Oh, I like the girl they promote. That's really not your jam. You went to college for this. But if you just take time out, spend a weekend of reflection about what gives me joy. What can I show up and do every day when the tough get going? Because we all have to get up at Monday morning. Why go somewhere that's miserable? Why go somewhere that you don't even halfway like, right? And typically we work up until we're 65, right? So you're going to spend a huge portion of your life at your job, not with your family, at your job. That's 5 days a week, 9 to 5. That's 40 hours. You do the math over just 25 years. That's a whole lot of time for you to just be spinning in circles trying to figure out. So while you're in college, the best thing you can do for yourself is figure out what are you talented in and what can you do for the rest of your life, and then find opportunities and start networking with those employers and those certain circles and those groups that's going to get you in position to win. You can have a job before you even graduate college if you do the networking right. Your network is your net worth. The number one way to get jobs is who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Who you got. Got a network. Awesome. Now,
it goes back to what we talked about earlier, of having to hang out after work, right? To build those relationships. Because there's surface level relationships and then there's deep relationships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, indeed.
It's knowing your coworker. What's the significance on why you named your son Noah? That makes a difference, right? Than just knowing they have kids.
Yes.
You just ripping those relationships. And when you need people to look out for you, they got your back because y'all have a relationship that's deeper than the other coworkers. We've all got those good ones. Girl, they got free food. You better get down here real quick. They send you that text, or the boss not here, so it's okay if you're 20 minutes late. You know, we need people like that on our side.
Thank you. I'm running late. Can you clock me in? You need them part. Now you said something when you were just explaining about, having long range plans, 30-year plans or whatever. And I saw you talking to some youngsters somewhere. You were speaking to some youngsters. I think it was your Instagram. I saw you talking to some high schoolers.
Yeah.
And it made me think, let's say you were speaking to some high schoolers and one of them said, Cory, I got a 30-year plan. And part of my plan is I'm a sophomore in high school right now, and I'm working at a fast food place and I'm flipping burgers and fries and stuff like that. But by the time I'm a senior, I want to be the shift manager because I want to use that income to pay part of my tuition while I'm in college. I want to work as a shift manager. Cory, how do I start to position myself to move up from fries to shift manager in this fast food job?
Well, I would definitely say congratulations that they're already halfway there. Is they have a plan of where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you do is you learn everything you can learn while you're in that role, and then you have conversations with your management and let them know where you want to go.
Okay.
Right. So set the expectation with your manager of what you want. So when the opportunity comes, you're going to see if they're going to give it to you or not, or they already know you want it. Right. Everybody else is waiting on it to conveniently become available, but you want to let them know that you already are focused on that role and that you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Share with them your vision and your game plan. So then they're going to respect that. And then they're going to give you those opportunities as they come along, because they're going to look at your hard work and look at your vision. And if you're willing to go through the steps and the pathways that they create, you'll walk right into being the shift manager position that you want.
Now, one of the things that people assume is that career coaches help people with careers, but you actually also help people open businesses. So I'm assuming that you were a hot item during the Great Resignation, if I'm assuming correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
No, career coaches really don't help people open businesses. If there's anything that we are, is more of it's a life coach, right?
Okay.
We hold our salary so tight, right? But I'm the guy, you got to tell me, hey, you're making 55,000, you want to make 90,000. Okay, cool. I like to know everything because I need to know where you're at so I can set my own goals for you and hold you accountable to. Like, here's the steps that we need to follow. I think everybody should have their own business. If you look at what's it take to truly be wealthy, you need a certain level of streams, a certain level of ownership to make that happen. If you understand the tax code, you're going to see that you can do certain things with the business, but every time you level up and you're on your W-2, your 9 to 5, oh, I got a promotion. So does your tax bracket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you need certain things to really sustain the level of life that you want. So one day you can achieve the dream to not even work at all, and people are paying you. Yeah.
Yeah, multiple streams it's a necessity now. My grandfather, great grandfather, they could work at the factory and put all the kids through college, but it doesn't work anymore these days. It is just it's virtually impossible without multiple streams of income.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the way things are going. Look at the gas price. Look at the inflation. It's all ebb and flow. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. But yeah, career coaches.
Yeah, I saw something today where off topic, rent like is the median is $2,000 everywhere. I don't know how people can survive off of $2,000. I mean, rent is $2,000 plus you have to live, so you're going to have multiple streams of income. But
that's a whole nother thing. If you talk about the minimum wage, there's the rich are continuing to get richer and the poor are continuing to get poorer. True. It doesn't make any sense where you can make 6 figures and still be homeless in our country, this great country.
Yeah, that's I think I had read a report recently, San Francisco, just to be middle class, you had to make 6 figures to be considered middle class, and that's unrealistic. I mean, we'd never heard of that before. Mr. Steward here, I'm going to wrap this up because I try not to take up too much of my guys' time. And but one of the questions I want to ask you is if somebody is in need of a career coach and Cory is all booked up, he doesn't have any room for any more clients, what should we be looking for if we're going to hire a career coach?
Just look for someone that you can trust. I would definitely look at their reviews. Just have a conversation with them and go with your gut. Mm-hmm. What I always try to do is just show up and just not misrepresent myself. I'm if you see my Instagram, I make sure you see my personality, but I don't like to just brag. So I make a point to have the people who I've helped talk about how wonderful it is to work with me. So
Mhm.
when you're seeking a career coach, we live in the internet age. Look them up and then give them a phone call. Most of us have a free 15 or 30-minute consultation and where you can see if we vibe. Because I don't take everybody that calls me because I want to make
Mhm.
sure it's a good fit. I want to see you win. I'm going to hold you accountable. I want you to be open to coaching, right? And not everybody's open for that. You can kind of tell and get good vibes, but that goes both ways. So when you're shopping for a career coach, that's the most important thing. Just check out the reviews and have that conversation and ask them the right questions. It's not just about the price point or the cost. It's about, do you trust them to help you level up with your career? Because everything's going to work itself out.
Quick question, before I go. You just mentioned your social media, and it was on my mind, but I forgot. Uh, is is there somebody in the hiring department that actually sits there and goes through everybody's social media when they're thinking about hiring and like, let me look at his post from 2018? How important is checking your social media when you're applying for a job?
Ooh, so great question. That's one of the things I go through. Also, just so you know, they also pull your credit too. So credit can affect um, the likelihood of you being hired as well.
Mhm.
But what most companies do, just like they do with background checks, it's part of a third party service. All they're looking for is if, do you have some disrespectful tweets, right? That could be harmful to somebody else. Do you have a white hoodie on and is there burning cross in the background?
Okay,
Uh, those
okay,
are things they're looking for. I haven't heard of anything that's unreasonable. I know I'm a regular person. You might see me with a drink in my hand. So if the company thinks that, and of course, I'm just on the boat having fun. I'm not like laid out with throw up everywhere. But if a
hmm,
company sees that in the background check and they don't like that, I don't need to work for them anyway.
okay,
So you definitely should be mindful of that. What you put on the internet, your social media, you should always Google yourself because that's what the hiring manager is going to do. And then they have companies that go another layer deep to check out your
okay.
social media to see what groups you're a part of. What are you saying? How do you spend your free time? Could you be a potential threat to our company and our brand and our image?
Okay, okay. That's new to me, like social media background check company. That's an
Yeah,
industry.
it's just one of those things where they're already doing the background, so it's an added value. So kind of like your tax professional, they may help you build your credit, or they may help you start a business. It's just another service that they offer from the same company. Uh, but if they choose to pick it up, but it's a very common thing. I would like to know on social media if somebody says something really crazy, so I could disqualify them.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
There is an avenue to make revenue everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Awesome. Well, sir, I've taken up enough of your time. This is the time where I do my random question, and then I'm going to ask for you to tell people how they connect with you if they need a career coach, and you guys can work out whether or not you are fit. And you do go speak. Like I said, I saw you speaking at a school, so you do some speaking as well, correct?
Yes, I
Oh,
love to motivate and encourage others. So definitely open for that anywhere in America.
so we're gonna do my random question, and I'm gonna ask you
All
to tell
right,
us. Let's see what we
let's
got.
go.
Let's see what we got here. If you could have an all expenses paid trip, where would you go?
Africa,
What part?
uh, Ghana.
Ah, everybody's going to Ghana. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, sir, how do we connect with you and to get our resume right so we got the right keywords and we get comfortable walking in there with our dreads, our locks, and our afro and all of that stuff? How tell us how we connect with you?
You can definitely just give me a call at 918-269-9133, or you can go to my website, careercoachcory.com, and that's Cory. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Career Coach Cory, Twitter, Career Coach Cory. And again, you can reach me at 918-269-9133, or just go to my website, careercoachcory.com. It has my email information on there as well, team@getcareerconfidence.com.
Awesome, awesome, sir. Awesome, sir. Well, I appreciate everything you're doing, and especially for our folks and getting them into these jobs that we were really kind of maybe timid about and giving us some confidence. I just appreciate everything that you're doing. Hand claps from little old me. Much success to you, and thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing with me today.
Well, thank you. You have a wonderful platform and you're doing some good with it. So thank you for all that you do and just uplifting the men in your life and reaching out to people even outside your circle. It's
Awesome.
admirable.
Thank you. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.